All right, so at this time, I would like to introduce our speaker, who needs no introduction, really. He's been a friend of our Rotary Club for many years. We've appreciated, Joe, your annual visits to our club. Today, Joe is going to share how he and his team are listening to all of us, working hard to build opportunity, restore hope, and transform Erie. So please join me in giving Joe a warm Rotary welcome.
Thank you, Stephanie. Wow, this is really awesome. I really appreciate everybody being here. First, I just want to thank the Rotary Club for having me back for the 4th time to speak. I did it first as a candidate back in 2017. I've spoken the last 2 years, and now this is my 3rd time as mayor. And there was 2 more thank yous I want to give before I dive into the speech. First, to my wife, Rhonda, who's right here. Rhonda, could you give a wave so everybody can see you? I want to thank Rhonda for her patience with my schedule. At least most of the time, she's pretty patient with it. Sometimes, though, she does have to put her foot down and kind of rein me in and say, "You're going to stay home tonight." Daves, I'm glad you're here today. I also want to thank my team members that are here, because without the team, I always say I might be able to accomplish 5% of what we do. But Renee Lamus, our Chief of Staff, is here. Renee, could you give a wave to everybody? Thank you. I can tell you, nobody I know works harder than Renee. I get texts from her at 2 in the morning, and she is an incredible worker and doing a great job. Thanks very much. In the back there, we have Frank Stramello with the camera, the guy with the camera. He's our media consultant. And again, I'm blessed with just a great staff. Without the staff, as I said earlier, I might be able to accomplish 5% of what we've done. But anyway, let's get started. With everything I do, today I'm going to be open, honest, transparent, and accessible. And what I'm really looking forward to is the questions and conversation we have after I'm done speaking and you guys start. I have to begin, though, with our 6-word mission statement: build opportunity, restore hope, transform Erie, and our 2-sentence vision, which is Erie is a community of choice. We celebrate our rich cultural diversity, our welcoming, vibrant neighborhoods, our world-class downtown and bayfront, which we're on now, our excellent education for everyone, and our abundance of family-sustaining jobs. The mission and vision govern everything that my team and I do. My main focus today is going to be to present you 26 key performance indicators that we've announced last week to measure our success in fulfilling the vision. But for the first half of today's presentation, I want to share with you a list of 12 accomplishments that I believe we had in 2019. The first, and probably the most transformative thing we did last year, was to conduct the People's Supper series. Was anybody here a participant in the People's Supper? Yes. So, what I'm going to say, these guys can really attest to. This was structured around 8 dinner meetings over the first half of 2019. Participants included about 20 African Americans, 20 first-generation new Americans, 20 Hispanic Latino Americans, and 20 white Americans. I could talk about this experience for hours, but here's the bottom line. These 80 Erie residents got to know and respect each other as people. They truly value each other without regard to race, religion, nationality, sexual orientation, or skin color. If I accomplish nothing else as mayor, I'd like every Erie resident to become like those participants from the People's Supper. Second, I'm very proud that after a 1.5 years of pretty hard work, the new LRTA took effect on July 3rd, 2019. This is the biggest thing we've done so far to transform Erie physically. We agreed with the county and the school district that if the new LRTA did not generate at least $20 million in new construction in the first 2 years, we would meet and redesign it. I'm very proud to tell you that in the first 6 months, the new LRTA generated over $25 million in residential and commercial construction. But to be honest, that's more than I expected. But now I believe that by July 3rd of next year, the 1-year anniversary, I believe we'll be over $50 million in LRTA construction. Third, we've built a really strong relationship with our sister city, Zibo, China. Chris Groner, Gary Horton, Glenn Renaud, and I went over for a week back in April of last year. I can tell you, I've never been treated so well for an entire week in my life before. Since then, 7 ZEBO officials have visited here in 2 different visits. They've reached high-level agreements working together with the Erie hospitals, universities, and high schools. The most exciting ZEBO idea to me is that they are talking about developing a Chinatown in Erie. This Chinatown would serve not only as a residence for ZEBO citizens when they come here for medical attention or on vacation, but also would be a tourist attraction. I'm very proud of the work, this is number 4, I'm very proud of the work that Moss Sela continues 2019 on the Citizens Response Center, which is something we created back in 2017. Moss handled 2,529 calls dealing with issues from code enforcement to refuse to streets to traffic to engineering. Moss gives me weekly reports on delinquent issues, and I can tell you sometimes there is no weekly report because there are none that are delinquent. Anything over 5 days that hasn't been resolved, we consider delinquent. I'm proud of how quickly he and city employees are resolving those issues. I also want to thank Moss for implementing the City Hall greeter program this year, or actually last year in 2019, at the State Street entrance. These volunteers have made the city building much more welcoming and inviting than it was. Our 5th accomplishment was we unveiled a new website in February. Thanks to the work of Andy Steinmetz, our previous media liaison, and Professor Kathleen Nochi of Penn State Barron, the city now has a 21st century website which, with the touch of a button, can be translated into over 100 different languages. 6, we continued our brown bag lunches with the mayor and the Mayor for the Day program in 2019. The brown bag lunches take place on the first Thursday of each month. They're usually like 11:30 to 12:30. Sometimes we go a little beyond that. We limit attendance to 10 people so that everyone has a chance to participate in the conversation. The next lunch is March 5th, so please call our administrative assistant Margie at 870-1200 if you want to reserve your spot at a future lunch. Also, on the first Thursday of each month this year, we'll be welcoming Erie School middle students to City Hall as the Mayor for a Day. These students learn about local government by spending the morning with me, then touring the building, spending time in the police department, and visiting one of our firehouses. If they want, they can even climb to the top of the ladder fire truck. 8th, we worked very hard in 2019 to fix 3 major city financial problems, and this might be the most important thing I tell you, and it's not complete yet. First, the City Council did approve in the 2020 budget realistic pension assumptions for the rate of return and life expectancy. This will save the city over $67 million in expenses over the next 20 years by stopping millions of dollars of increases in pension costs each year that we've been actually dealing with for years now. That will stop now that we have realistic assumptions. Second, this is one I could use some help and support and maybe some nudging of some city council people, although not Mel Witherspoon, because Mel is behind this 100%. Second, we proposed a 2020 budget that would include a $90 million prepayment of the Water Authority lease. This would have been used as a down payment on the debt and would have saved the city over $90 million in future debt payments over the next 30 years. I respect the fact that council wanted to study it and understand it better. They didn't say no to it, they just said we don't want to put it in the budget yet. So the first thing they asked for is a full appraisal of the Water Authority. So we're going to get that done hopefully in the next couple months, get that to them, and I'm hoping by mid-year we can get council's approval for the Water Authority lease prepayment so we can pay down the debt and solve this second problem that the city has. Our third major financial problem is that each year our operating expenses go up much faster than our operating income. About 90% of the city's budget is personnel-related expenses, salary and benefit. City income goes up less than 1% a year, while those expenses typically go up 5 to 10% a year because of increases in employee salaries and benefit expenses as well. We began working on this in 2019. We negotiated salary increases with the firefighters union of 0% this year, 1% next year, 1.5% the year after, and 4 years out it'll be a 2% increase. Up to this point, the union agreements have always been 3% a year. So we're happy we've achieved that. And to the dismay of some of my staff, I put the same thing in effect for non-union employees, because I felt I can't be meeting with the union if we're still giving 3% of every year to non-union. So all my non-union employees, most of whom report directly to me and may not be real happy with me, will get 0%. They got 0% for this year, and then they'll be on that same range. We hope, again, to achieve the same. This year we'll be negotiating with the police. We're in the process now of setting up the first meeting there. And then next year it'll be ASME, and the year after the Teamsters. Ninth, we continued in 2019 to receive valued feedback from many advisory groups that we have formed. Some of them were in place already and we still use them. I'm just going to list them briefly. First is the Mayor's Business Council, which does incredible work. We have a couple members of the Mayor's Business Council here in the room. Historic Preservation Task Force, the LGBTQ+ Advisory Committee, the New American Council, Strengthening Police and Community Partnerships, the Erie Neighborhood Growth Partnership, the Better Together Council, the Mayor's Disability Roundtable, the Active Transportation Planning Steering Committee, and the Employee Activities Committee. 10th, I'm happy to report that under the leadership of Chris Groner, I know many of you know Chris, and the hard work of our grant writer, Abby Skinner, the city raised $7,161,086 in grant money during 2019. This is enabling us to physically transform Erie in ways we couldn't afford to otherwise. 11, we continue taking a long view of the city's future in 2019 under the leadership of our planning director, Kathy Rosdick. Kathy is working hard to make sure we have a good plan for each of Erie's 17 neighborhoods. She has led door-to-doors in several neighborhoods that I've participated in, and we get to hear directly from the people. Most recently, she's been working on the city's engineering department, with the city's engineering department, on an active transportation plan and a stormwater feasibility study. 12th, this is our last accomplishment now from last year. Of course, we continue to be accessible to the community through our weekly news conferences, being on live radio every 2 weeks, being active in social media. That's thanks to Frank mainly, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram next door, and also obviously attending and speaking at meetings like this around the Erie region. So that, and my commitments continue to be open, honest, transparent, and accessible. So that concludes the highlights from 2019. Now, thank you. So now for the second half of the presentation, let's look at how we're going to measure our progress on realizing the vision over the next 2 years. Last Thursday, January 9th, 2020, we unveiled the city's plan for activating the vision. We identified 26 key performance indicators that will track our progress. Many city leaders and community members have helped us identify the key performance indicators. Erie's 2-year Activating Our Vision plan is trying to accomplish 4 things. First, explain programs and strategies that the city will implement to ensure that we are making an impact. Second, identify metrics called key performance indicators for each of the 5 points in the vision. 3, sets and defines specific goals for each metric. And 4, reports key performance indicators regularly. And Frank and Renee are handing out this booklet now, so you can kind of follow me along as I talk about the 5 areas we're working on, and you'll be able to see the performance indicators. For the first 3 elements of the vision, we have worked with department heads and key staff. Our goal is to achieve all these metrics in the first 3 sections by December 2021. For the 4th and the 5th vision elements, where the city has partnered with Erie Public Schools with the 4th and Erie Regional Chamber Growth Partnership with the 5th, some of the goals mirror their timeline with the completion dates of 2024. This plan will evolve over time. I want to continue refining and improving and expanding the plan because it will take 10 years, I believe, to really transform Erie. I welcome continuing input from any region residents and how we can make it even better. And I've made my staff a little nervous because a lot of work went into this over at least the last year. And I've been saying when I speak publicly, I want to make this better. How can we change it? So to measure our progress on activating our vision, we've identified 26 key performance indicators. We will track these key performance indicators to measure our success in activating our 5-point vision over the next 2 years. We worked hard developing these key performance indicators. It's not been easy. For instance, we have to make sure we can actually measure everything we come up with. And there were many things we wanted to measure that we can't. But these are things we came up with. So you can also access this document online at the city's website. So you go to cityof.erie.pa.us, and then you just scroll down the first page till you see activating our vision. If you click on that, for those of you that would rather see it online than in paper, you can get it there. So now I'll briefly present the key performance indicators for each of our 5 vision statements, and you can follow along, if you will, in the books. So the first vision statement we talk about is our rich cultural diversity, and that's the red 2 pages towards the front of the book. If I accomplish nothing else as mayor, and you've probably heard me say this many times, but I'm going to keep saying it. If I accomplish nothing else as mayor, I want to eliminate racism and prejudice in Erie. I want every individual in Erie to be welcomed and valued for the unique talents and skills that each one possesses. Our diversity makes us stronger as a community. If everyone feels valued, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual preference, or skin color, there's no limit, I believe, to what we can accomplish. So here are our 6 performance indicators we will use to measure our success in making Erie residents feel valued. And you'll find this on the left-hand page. The right-hand part says key performance indicators at the top. First, we'll attain 26% minority workforce for all new non-bargaining hires. Second, we'll increase the number of minority candidates taking the Erie Police exam to 15%. We'll do the same in 3 for those taking the Erie Fire Department. We want at least 15% to be minorities. You know, let me pause there for a minute and say what we really wanted to do is set a goal for how we could integrate police and fire. But what we've learned is there's a number of reasons that that's probably not going to happen quickly. And it's been frustrating, to be honest, the first couple of years. Michael Outlaw, my diversity and inclusion officer, I know he's worked hard, and when we got the police test last year and the fire test last year, there were little or no minorities in the top area. So we're doing this, but Michael also has programs, they're not in here, but he's working on starting with middle school students, because in our minority population, there is a bias against police and fire and people in uniforms, and we're trying to overcome that. Fourth, we'll attain 26% minority representations for all new appointments to boards, commissions, and authorities. Again, we're always going to appoint the best people, but we're hoping to get minorities to apply and have good minorities. Attain 100% on the Human Rights Campaign's Municipal Equality Index, and achieve the certified welcoming status with a minimum score of 91%. And that one, we should know around the middle of this year whether we've achieved that or not. You'll see in the book, on the other side of the page, that there's 10 programs related to accomplishing these 6 visions. And I'm not going to go through those in detail, but you can see on the far right side under KPI, Key Performance Indicators, each one tells you which key performance indicator that particular program is going to assist. Second, if you want to turn the page, we look at welcoming, vibrant neighborhoods. My team and I want every neighborhood of Erie's 17 to feel that they live in a neighborhood that's welcoming and vibrant. We have a lot of good, welcoming, vibrant neighborhoods in Erie, but not everyone is, to be honest. As a team, we've identified 7 key performance indicators to track our progress moving toward this over the next 2 years. First, Erie's population will be at least 100,000 by 2020. The 2020 census, which technically is April 1st, it's actually going to start in March. Last time we had a census in 2010, there were thousands of people not counted in Erie. We know that for a fact. Every person not counted costs the city, our area, $2,100 in federal aid per person. So if we have only 1,000 that aren't counted this year, we lose $2.1 million per year for the next 10 years in federal aid. That's why the census is so important, and that's why we want to make sure everybody takes it. And we have to be especially careful that children get counted, elderly, immigrants, refugees, and college students. You're supposed to be counted wherever you spend more than 6 months of your life, and most college students are in the Erie area more than 6 months. So any help you can give make sure all of your friends and relatives get counted. Any help you can give us making that happen, we'd appreciate it. Number 2, Erie City home values will increase by 10% when compared to Erie County home values. Now, currently, a home in Erie is only worth 73% of a comparable home outside of Erie, but still in Erie County. So our goal is we want to increase that in the next 2 years to 83%. Eventually, of course, we'd like it to be 100, but we didn't think that was realistic. Number 3, there'll be 20 new single-family homes built in the city in the next 2 years. 3, open code violations per property decreased by 10%. 5, the number of unsound registered rental properties decreases by a percentage that will set in June once we've finished the property conditions assessment of all City of Erie housing stock. We have an arrangement with Gannon. We're going to be training their students to go to every house in Erie. They'll have badges identifying themselves, and they'll be trained on identifying what is a house that's in poor property condition or considered unsound. Now, once we get their report, our code enforcement officers will be going out to verify also that it's correct. But I believe for the first time in the histories of the city, we will then know exactly how many unsound houses we have, and we can set a goal for how many we want to reduce. 6, there is $50 million in new investment in Erie. And as I said, in the last 6 months, we've already had $25 million. So I think that goal is too low, and I'll be talking with my staff about upping that one. Number 7 is that Part 1 police offenses decreased by 4%. And Part 1 police offenses are things like theft or personal injury, more serious crimes. We're looking for a decrease in crime. And I also have to mention here, I don't like saying this, but you've probably heard in the first 15 days of January, we've had 3 shootings. None of them have died, but there have been 3 shootings in Erie. So that's 1 every 5 days. And I've talked to the police chief about it. He doesn't think that will continue, but that is something we want to put an end to. I can tell you my dream, this isn't a key performance indicator, but my dream is that we can soon have an entire year where no one is murdered in Erie. Third is the welcoming downtown, world-class downtown in Bayfront, which is the blue pages. We're getting to the end. The next element of our vision is celebrating world-class downtown in Bayfront. Many things we've done began to happen in the Bayfront and the downtown area already over the last 2 years. However, there's still much more to do. Our 4 performance indicators in this category are that by the end of 2021, first, we'll have at least 100 market rate residential units under construction in the city. Second, the iconic connection on the Bayfront is funded and under construction. There's been a lot of work done on this over the last 3 years, really, even before I got into office, and I think we're getting close on it. 3, there'll be at least $5 million in investment committed to implement the Downtown Streetscape Master Plan. We've had a Downtown Streetscape Master Plan for 10 years. None of it's been implemented yet. It's going to cost $50 million to implement the whole thing, but we're just trying to get it going. And 4th, at least 50,000 square feet of new Class A office space is under development. And did you hear that, Scotts? Thank you. So we're committed to ensuring that downtown and Bayfront are safe, welcoming, world-class places where people want to live, work, and play. I'm excited to look forward to the upcoming transformational projects that will be unfolding in the coming months. Next is excellent education for everyone, which is our 4th key to transforming Erie. That's the purple section. Students in Erie schools are the future of Erie. That's why we're committed to helping Erie School District in any way we can. 4 of our 5 key performance indicators in this category are identical to the Erie School District's goals for their completion date, which is 2024. Here are our key performance indicators. First, 90% of students are achieving a 95% attendance rate. Second, 100% of students are participating in their communities. Third, there is a 50% reduction in behavior incidents involving African American students. As of last year, African American students were being disciplined at about twice the rate of white students. And so they want to change that because it's not the way it should be. And 4th, this is a pretty incredible goal, 100% of students graduate from high school. That doesn't mean necessarily in 4 years, but they are committed to everyone graduating. Now, the one thing that Erie is missing is a community college, and that's why our fifth key performance indicator in this area is that we have an Erie County has a brick and mortar community college in the city. And I really do appreciate the work Kathy Delkemper, Gary Lee, and many others have been doing to try to bring this to Erie. I love the student voices sessions that I've been participating this year in Erie middle and high schools. Michael Outlaw, my community liaison, and Ken Nixon, he's the Erie School District's Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. They arrange these sessions. In addition to me, there's several police officers, there's African American leaders, and there's a couple, usually individuals, who have been reformed from a life of crime. They all participate. These students are the future of Erie, and I look forward to working together closely with the school district staff to ensure that they all have the opportunity for great lives. So finally, the last element of our vision is the abundance of family-sustaining jobs, which is my favorite color, the green. This is probably one of the most important. So my team and I are working hard at filling the gaps. I'm energized by our partners at the Erie Regional Chamber and Growth Partnership, who are taking the lead on attracting businesses and jobs of the future to Erie. Working with CEO James Grunke and his staff, we identified the following 4 key performance indicators. We have 1,000 more family-sustaining jobs in Erie by the end of 2024. This will happen by creating new jobs through Erie Forward and retaining existing jobs. So we're looking for a growth of 1,000 jobs. Second, per capita income rises by 5%. Third, the percentage of employees living and working in the city increases by 5%. Did you know that 60% of the people who work in the city live outside the city? We want to reverse that. Fourth, there'll be over 25 acres of industrial manufacturing property identified for redevelopment. The last 3 key performance indicators we'll measure through 2031-21. The last 3 of the 4 I just mentioned, they're through 2021. The first one is through 2024. The Chamber's expertise and leadership is crucial to bring about economic success back to our entire region. I can remember as a kid, I could walk down 12th Street and get 4 or 5 good job offers, and they weren't like flipping hamburgers. In fact, some of you may have heard me say this before, but my first job was at Condu Corporation at 12th and Raspberry, and I was going to Gannon at the time. I got a summer job there. I earned enough in one summer to pay for my fall and spring semesters at Gannon, and I enjoyed the job so much I stayed on part-time while I was going back to school. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to partner with you and others on programs, projects, and initiatives. You know, change is not easy. We have a difficult road ahead, but with challenge also comes opportunity. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reimagine ourselves and our community, to make the vision reality. So let's roll up our sleeves, let's work together, let's make a difference in the lives of our children and the future of our community. City government cannot accomplish these 26 performance indicators alone. Private sector leaders like you, nonprofit organizations, philanthropic and educational institutions all play a huge role in transformational change. As the city does its part to be an active player, we ask the assistance of community partners to lead the change, and there's a lot of them in the room here today. I invite everyone to help us transform Erie. Here are 7 ways you can make a significant impact. Implement or invest in East Bayfront or other approved neighborhood plans. Fund the downtown streetscape master plan. Contribute to a fund for the completion of the Bayfront Central Corridor. Sponsor a community school. We'd like every public school in Erie to be a community school. Donate to the Police Athletic League. They are changing the future, the Police Athletic League. They're mainly minority students that participate in that. They are building relationships with police. Policemen tell me they're out on a call, and one of the kids will see them and come up and start talking to them. It's like, not right now, I got to be careful. But donate to Celebrate Erie. That's been going on for quite a while, and I think we're making good progress on that. Or donate to the Lorda Community Reinvestment Fund. The 26 key performance indicators that I presented to you today are just the first step. We look forward to input, ideas, directions. How can we make the key performance indicators better? Don't get too mad at me, Renee, okay? In fact, just yesterday, I received an email from Sister Pat Lupo. She indicated that, this is a quote, "Your plan for activating the vision is good, but you're missing a very big piece, improving our environment. Environment is important for Erie's future. So we're scheduling a meeting with Sister Pat Lupo to discuss this further. I have talked with my staff, and they have pointed out to me that many elements of this key performance indicators actually do support the environment also. So we'll have that conversation with Sister Pat. But if she has some ideas for other things we could do, we're open to that. I really look forward. I'm going to speak about 45 more seconds. What I'm looking forward to is you guys starting to talk, asking me questions, and giving me input. So, build opportunity, restore hope, transform Erie. Erie is a community of choice. We celebrate our rich cultural diversity, our welcoming, vibrant neighborhoods, our world-class downtown and bayfront, our excellent education for everyone, and our abundance of good family-sustaining jobs. I hope these are more than just words to all of you. We have taken the first step with the 26 key performance indicators to track and measure our progress on transforming Erie and making our vision reality. Now, I'm anxious to hear your comments, questions, and direction. Thank you. How long did I talk? I was supposed to talk 20 minutes. I think I talked longer. Any questions, comments, anything? Yes, thank you.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that as a millennial, moving back to Erie to start a career and family, this just makes me so excited. Really.
Let's give her a round of applause for coming back. Thank you.
I was wondering if you could, and maybe this is something everyone already knows, but if you could give us information on how to join the people suffer.
There'll be information coming out about it. We're still kind of struggling with that a little bit, honestly. There's actually a meeting tomorrow night, I think, or tonight? Tonight. Yeah, tonight with the people working on organizing it. I may have a better answer for you after this meeting, but thank you. I'm glad you're interested in being involved. We want more people involved in it. Thank you. Yes. I see if, yes.
Mr. Mayor, I have several things that I've written down. One would be in terms of inspiring you on new leasing.
Yes.
Recruiting of firemen and so forth. The most important thing is you can recruit 1,000 people, but they have to pass that written test.
Yes.
Okay? And I talk better standing. They have to pass that written
Yes.
test. Now, my name is Howard Bibbs. I did run for school board. I ran for school board because reading is the same as it was in 1969. The level of reading was only third grade in 1969, and it's still only third grade in 2019. So to pass the test, they would have to be able to read, do math, and those things. Okay? As well as increasing home value. The other side of my expertise is I went to school for economics. So the other side of home value would be that those home values would have to keep their value at resale.
Absolutely.
Because and my example would be, I had a friend that was right across the street from me. He bought a $95,000 home. He had to sell it for $65,000. So we have to keep the value in terms of sales. Other than that, we keep going forward and stepping back, going forward and stepping back. Board commitment, I give a lot of credit to that, because I myself is on several boards. I participated on the Blight Property Board Committee. And I'm very, very avid about Blight Property. I came up in Blight Property. I lived in Blight Property. was raised in black property, okay? Just to give you an example, my mom and I used to go down in the basement to change the fuse. When we got down in the basement, the rats was actually pedaling across the pond in the basement like they're on these boards that these guys be out there surfing on. So blight is really one thing that I'm really avid about. As far as the PAL program, that is a magnificent program. I've actually seen those guys at work, but they do need more help and they do need more support. They need people to work with them. So the police is doing a very good job in that particular area.
Thanks for mentioning that, I appreciate it.
And then twice the rate of discipline, I didn't finish writing what I was gonna say on that.
We know that's not good.
Yeah, you move
And
kind of
we want to
fast
change
there.
it.
You
Yes.
move kind of fast there, Mr. Bear. But as far as the growth of new jobs, we can bring about new jobs, but how many of the jobs are for new people to be counted in those jobs? Because from the beginning of time, people have been counted 4 or 5 times throughout their life as far as jobs. And then that is counted as the increase in the rate of employment, when the rate of employment never really increased within your community because you still got the same 10 guys and women working in these jobs.
But we're gonna measure the number of people working, not how many jobs they've had, so.
Okay,
Thanks very much, Howard, appreciate it. Other questions or comments? Yes? You'll be next, Mike, okay? Yes?
Right.
Yes.
Well, I would just like to say that, in all the years I've been developing and working in Erie and seeing all the mayors come and go, that you have impressed me the most. I thank you very much.
Now you're making me blush now.
Well, no, I just think that when you check off the boxes of what a mayor is supposed to do, that you have exceeded the expectations in most of these areas. And I think that the job you did in trying to get LERTA through, which is a difficult task, considering what the school board was struggling with their budget and everything, but you were able to convince them that this, even though it's less taxes now in the beginning, it brings people in, it's kind of incentive that makes the city grow, and you're proving it now in a very short time.
Thank you.
And the project that we're working on so hard with Harbor Place, we've got terrific support from the city and the county, but that passage of LERTA is a big step towards making this development possible. So just want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Nick, appreciate all you're doing. Mike?
Mayor, do you have any comments on Erie Coke and future?
Yeah.
That's a lot of property out there.
It's a lot of property, and I know there's conversations going on about that. I've not been active in those conversations. Obviously, it was surprised when they turned employees away, when they closed. But, they've been polluting our environment for many years, and they were warned 10 years ago to fix it and did nothing. Okay.
Looking forward.
Looking forward? Well, I'm very excited about, number one, them not polluting anymore. Number two is, that's a great location. I know a lot of people have thoughts on what we could put down there, and we'll be able to take advantage of it. And we'll no longer be polluting the air and the water. So that's all good. Yeah.
Seems to be a possibility for some sort of visioning task force or something.
Sounds like a good idea. Renee's making a note. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anything else? What other questions or comments or like input like this I value as well? Well, yeah, whoop, one more. We're getting to the end.
Well, you mentioned that 60% of people that work in the city live outside.
Yes.
What's that ratio for city employees?
I think it's, to be honest, I think it's about the same. It may even be a little lower, maybe like a third. I've never actually counted that, but that's just my gut feeling. Like police and firemen, for instance, by contract, have to live within 15 miles of City Hall. Well, there's a lot of places outside the city that are 15 miles from City Hall. So, and, the police, I kind of understand. I've talked to some of them about it, and they don't want to live in a place where the people they arrested are going to know where they and their family live. So I kind of understand that, but still, I'd rather have them in the city, because we have some great neighborhoods too. So, thanks. Anything else? Thanks very much. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'll add this to my collection.
I said to him, I think you probably have a few of these.